Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is having a great Monday. Here we are again, Monday, and we are entering our second week of the Learn Along, our first annual Triangle Homeschool Resources Learn Along. So for those of you who might be tuning in new, what is a Learn Along? So the idea was if you are curious about interest-led learning or unit study type learning, unschooling, then how do you actually kind of implement that in your homeschool? Well, of course, number one, you could buy unit studies. You could, find ones on Teachers Pay Teachers, or one of my personal favorites, unitstudy.com, or tons of them out there. The homeschoolmom.com has some great resources, some great links on different types of unit studies. So that's one way that you could kind of delve into that. But, for those of us who come from a traditional education background, sometimes this looks like such a foreign concept. What does interest-led learning really look like day to day? What does it mean? So that is why I've created this first annual Learn Along. Also, to kind of just give us something to interact about, something to kind of communicate about and work on building our community here at Triangle Homeschool Resources. So I invite you to participate, to ask your questions. If you would like to get a little more inside scoop on what a Learn Along looks like and what a self-designed unit study looks like, then you are invited to join our Mighty Networks community, where you can follow along. I'm posting more videos, more information, more links in there. So you can join that, and I'll drop that link in the description as soon as the live is over. So last week we did some brainstorming about our animals topic. How do we cover animals? What are the things that we want our kids to learn? So that's always step one when you create some interest-led learning. Step one, come up with the big questions that you're trying to answer by studying this topic. What do your kids want to learn? What do they want to know about? Start from there. Start gathering some resources that might help you answer those questions, and then you continue to brainstorm. So definitely take some time on that. And I'll give you an example. One of the things that I was talking about is, when we study animals, there's, of course, scientific classifications of animals. There's also the different habitats that they live in. What do you want to know about an animal, a particular animal, when you learn about it? And one of the things is, where do they live? So this is a big focus of my son's interest. So also when I'm thinking about doing this for kids of different ages, so I have a preschooler and a high schooler. For my high schooler, this really kind of brings in some geography, some ecology, some of those kind of sciences that, fit right in with the biology. So one of the books, so I grabbed some books from the library, started with, habitats and homes, thinking about where do animals live and what can we learn about them from where they live. And one of the books I picked up was, Homes in the Wild by Lita Judge. Really cute book. And it's more, it's definitely a picture book, style. So definitely appropriate for your preschoolers, but also, lots of fun information for the older kids. So my preschooler really liked this book. It was a lot of fun to read. It has some of his favorite animals in here, tigers and prairie dogs. And let's see, I'm trying to find the one particular otters. Oh, he loves otters. And it talks about how all animals need homes. I think maybe this is not the right book. But there was a book about animal homes, and it talked about a bird, a common swift, and it talked about how it eats, sleeps, and just lives in the air for days and days at a time, maybe even weeks at a time. So I made a note of that. Okay, so this was intriguing to him. He had lots of questions about that. So let's put that animal on our list and look for resources about that animal. So somebody brought up like life cycles and food webs when we were doing our brainstorming session last week. So that was a really great tip. I picked up this book, Desert. It's part of the Discover Earth's Ecosystem series. So Sean Callery is the particular author of this one. And there's 8 different titles in this series from Kingfisher Publisher. So what I really liked about this when we dug into it, and I picked up a couple of different kinds of books about habitats, and this one was our favorite, and not just my favorite, but my kids too. It talks about different habitats in the world. So this particular one is about deserts. So it kind of shows you deserts, different deserts in the world. And then, okay, so then you go to the first one. It's the first desert, and it's actually going to go through a food chain and talk about all the animals in this food chain in this environment. So, and it goes through 4 or 5 deserts in the world and food chains in each of those deserts. So it was really interesting. It was a great way to learn about the different animals and how they interact and how they influence one another in their environment. So we will be looking for the rest of the books in this series and kind of basing a lot of our animal studies off of that. So once you find your kind of main topic, your main theme, so whether it's biology or habitat or, you know, just geography more so than habitat, then you can start to plan. How much time do you want to spend on your unit study? That's number one. So let me, okay, so how much time do you want to spend on the unit study? And then it becomes kind of a simple division problem, right? So if I have 4 weeks to do this unit study, and this is actually probably going to take us a lot longer than 4 weeks, but you want to take, like, okay, let's take our 6 main topics or our 4 main topics and divide it by, you know, how much time we have, or divide the time we have by how many topics. And you get, you know, a major topic per week, or every 2 to 3 days, you kind of want to be transitioning from topic. You spend every couple of days. Are you going to do it every day in your homeschool? Or do you do some block scheduling? So are you going to study animals every day? Or, you know, do you focus on math and English Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and do your science and social studies on Tuesday and Thursday? That's a possibility. That's more the rhythm that we've kind of used. So, however, being that I have a preschooler, he doesn't need to do math and English every day. So, or even that often, or I should say, it only takes him a couple minutes. So maybe we do more of it every day. But so, you know, we can cover some animal studies for him every day. Now, for my older student, she's probably going to be tuning in maybe 2 days out of the week. So the 2 days she's involved with us, yes, we'll be answering questions. We'll be doing journal pages. We'll be watching documentaries together. So those kind of things is how it kind of integrates the 2 different ages, you know. So whereas my younger one will be thrilled to read these books over and over, you know, my older student, probably not. So I'll read them with her, let her do some exploration. Really, her job here is to kind of keep a journal of our learning and ask any questions that she has about these things as we go through them. So it's really a process of discovery. So how much time do you want to spend? Let's see, how many topics do you have? Is the next question to ask. So how many topics do you have to cover? So for example, we have there's 8. I'm going to look up at the library. Don't go stealing all my books from the library in Wake County. No, but we can all take turns. There's 8 topics in this series. So I'm going to see how many the library has, and we'll go from there. So I plan on doing enough that I could say I'm happy with a good general animal study in 4 weeks. And we'll do it by we're going to do it by habitat. And we're going to look at the food chains in the habitat. And we'll learn, I'm sure we'll come up with some general questions about how animals live and how they interact, and maybe, the biology. But there's even life cycles of the individual animals in this book, in these books. So you can see this is, they kind of go through the life cycle. So there's all those kinds of things. Now for my older student, again, we'll talk about how we determine, is something an insect or a mammal or a reptile, or, so she'll be doing some of that classification. And then, so how much time do you want to spend overall? How many topics do you have? And how much room are you leaving for rabbit holes? And, being that we're talking about animals, I don't mean literally rabbit holes. But so, for example, one of the reasons I wanted to bring this book up, and it turns out it's the wrong one, but this was also an excellent book, and I'll have to find the other one and share that with you later. But there was one about this common swift. So the common swift might not show up in any of these habitat books that we're going to be covering, but I'll make room for that, and we'll have a day where we kind of read about that. And our schedule, when we do unit studies like this, it's pretty flexible. So if I'm giving you a peek into what it's like in a family actually using this, then, the reality is we start in the morning. I have my must-dos, kind of early, but usually because I like a gentle start to the day, because I'm not a morning person, neither are my kids. So, a gentle start to the day, we kind of all start reading together. We start doing those kind of things. And then after everybody's awake and kind of into it, we have our, snack. Everybody takes a break for a drink and snack or what have you. And then we do the must-dos, the maths, the writing assignments, the English, stuff like that. And then we really have the rest of the day to be flexible, to kind of go down the rabbit holes of history, science, current events, electives, things like art and music. And we just kind of see what we're up to, what we feel like. But I do have goals. So by the end of the week, I want to make sure we've talked about 2 habitats every week. If there's 8 classifications of habitats that I've determined that we want to cover, then every week I'm going to make sure that we're talking about 2 of them, so we don't get too deep off, on rabbit trails. But I also keep notes if there's questions that come up that we don't really fully get to pursue, or maybe, my kids go so far down it and they lose interest. I keep a note of that. And when we're looking for new topics of study, when we've kind of exhausted everything we've thought of as primary in this study, then we go back and, see if there's still interest in chasing any of those other ideas or questions. So that's kind of how I plan for it. It's really, just a simple math problem. How much do I want to cover? How much time am I willing to spend on this? And then plugging it into our calendar. And like I said, our daily rhythm is kind of a, get up, get started, give us something to think about for the day, and then do the must-dos. And then it's on to, what we have time to dive into after that. So that's kind of how we tackle it. That's kind of how I suggest planning. So part of the planning too is gathering resources. How long is it going to take me to get books from the library, or if I have to order books online or anything like that. Also the planning, I think about, okay, what do I want to have? Do I want to do any writing, any projects? So I look at these different habitats and think about, do we want to create maybe a shadow box or a diorama or what have you of these different habitats, and where am I going to put them? So I have to make notes at the beginning of my weeks in my plan for what materials I need to gather. Maybe it's probably going to be as simple as pulling coloring pages off the internet. And then my typical journaling pages for my teenager. So, the coloring pages for the preschooler. So I'll make a note on Sundays in my planner which is when I sit down and gather materials for the week ahead. I'll make a note Sundays. Okay, I want to find coloring pages for deserts and oceans this week, for grasslands and Arctic next week, for forest and rainforest the following week. So, and also thinking about, how I want to pair things up. River and mountain, I guess, would be the other ones left. Of the fourth week. So that's how we will tackle it. And like I said, I make those notes in the planner on Sunday. I sit down, I make a list of links, documentaries, library books, all that kind of stuff. And then we just kind of go down that list as time allows through the week. And then depending on how much time we have, how many other things that we're kind of delving into, any other interest-led studies we're doing, I may have to say, we'll come back to this one, or I'll save this for later. So it's really a stressless kind of planning thing. It's just really creating a loose outline and then following through with that. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. But that is really how I plan and schedule. It comes directly out of the brainstorming. And then I do give ourselves time to kind of just start maybe tasting different things that we've brainstormed about, to see if I can see some structure, if I can see some path that makes sense for the study. So that's what we did here with the animal studies. And, we gathered a couple of resources, we looked at a couple of things, and we determined that for our family, habitat makes a lot of sense to us. And it looked like a lot of fun, especially because, I found these good books that covers a lot of things in that. So we will be diving into it that way. So I hope that helps with how you plan, how you kind of determine how to tackle it, and to give yourself a little bit of structure, but to allow enough room for creativity, for exploration, for curiosity, because that's what makes these units really beautiful and the interest-led study really awesome. So thank you for joining me. Stay tuned. I will try to update later this week as we begin our study, and I'll show you some of the things that the kids kind of come up with in terms of notes and coloring pages, and how we kind of structure our notebook as we go through getting our resources and beginning to study, and what that starts to look like in the day. Again, if you want a more day by day, if you want more in depth, and if you also want to see how we're tackling cooking as a family, then definitely join us in our community. I will drop that link as soon as the live video ends, but you are welcome to kind of come in and join the conversation there as well. Okay. Thanks everybody. I hope you have a great week. I would love to hear your ideas and what your family is doing for your animal unit study. If you're joining us, what topics are you tackling? How are you dividing it up? And what are the themes that you're going to be using? So let me know in the comments. If you're catching this video on YouTube, then be sure to subscribe, like, and share the video, and let others know that this is, we're creating a community here for some fun learning. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.